couple minutes for some people to join in. Some of the slow pokes. Oh, man. What up, what up, what up, what up? A little stuffy, yeah. It's a little stuffy in my room today. Got the door closed and the vents blowing, blasting hot air on me. So I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that's not happening during the stream. Oh, man. Might have to shed a layer or two. Is this EP part of a trilogy? I don't know. I'd say it's gonna be. Do you mean? I'm guessing you mean the vessel, the vessel thing I'm doing now. It's gonna be just part of my 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 branding and my storytelling from here on out as I continue on. Thank you. That Mousetrap release was something different. Show boobs. I don't have boobs. I don't want to get banned on Twitch either. Even if I had boobs. This isn't a boob showing stream. This is just about music. All right. Why don't we start diving into this thing? Okay, so this whole track started off with me making this noise right here. Like the intro sound for Shimmer. And it's a really interesting way I kind of came up with the idea to make this. Let's see, I'm gonna solo that. It's pretty much this guy here, a super saw, but with the cutoff, I think, filtered up and down on it. Yeah. So you got your basic super saw, and then with the resonance up here. Now it sounds different here because I did something to it. And also there's a tempo shift too, so you'll notice it gets slower, like at the end there. It's because I shifted the tempo from 320 BPM. As you notice, it comes down from 321 all the way to 102. Makes that little cool effect, and that's what I considered my intro there. But yeah, I took that noise there, this one, I bounced it down to audio, into this file, unmute that, into, looks like this file, maybe this is one that I tried and something didn't work. So I bounced it down to this file and then I reversed it. And I also put a little bit more reverb. I put my reverb bus on it here, and I started messing around with it with the EQ here. I like to filter things with like EQ and whatnot. Oop, I forgot to mute that. Go back up and mute that real quick. So it starts off and all you're getting is that high end up there, and then it starts to slowly give you the whole spectrum of the sound, and then by the very end I start to bring it back the other way. Again, I had a loop on, and then as that's happening, also the reverb bus is getting automated up, so you're getting that extra tail end on that first sound you got there. And then after after that comes in, we have this nice kind of high glide string instrument that I made in A&A. It comes in ever so lightly. Here, it just adds that nice little prettiness to the background. That's a good question. I'm not exactly sure what key this is in. To be honest, when I'm like writing stuff, I don't know. I was never like classically trained on how to like interpret sheet music and whatnot, so I have no idea what key this is in. Just kind of funny, I guess. Looks like it's an A sharp minor. That's what Beatport says. But yeah, okay, so I am not Canadian. Just to let you guys know, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, United States. Okay, so after that big intro happens, we got the low end there. Got some soft string instruments coming in. A very light, kind of like delicate stuff that I wanted to add in here to create this nice, very pretty, bright and shiny kind of atmosphere going. And now a good idea for when you kind of create, you're creating stuff that's rather quiet, like I have here. A good idea is to try to fill up as much of the stereo space and the wide spectrum of all the frequency bands too for your mix. I'll just go through each different little band I have filled up here. So there's a nice little Atmo that I made. Remember how I made that? Ah, yes, I do remember how I made that. I haven't opened this project file in a long time, guys, so bear with me if it seems like I forgot how I made some of this stuff. So I took that and I bounced it down to this one here. And then I added on a bunch of echo, Space Designer and echo, and I reversed it. And now it sounds like that. And then I think I bounced it down again into this one and added even more Space Designer to it, some more reverb. It just sounds like this shiny, shimmering noise. I do use Serum. I don't know if I use Serum on this project. We'll have to see and look. We'll have to look and see what I created there. going back through here. Okay, so I got this Atmo kind of in the background. It comes up as kind of like the song. As we get closer to this first kind of like drop. And these are just the main chords here, made in Silent. This was like one of the first like software synths I ever got like to wrap my head around, you know. So it's like what I know how to use the best. It's a really simple tool. It's a really simple synthesizer. Pretty much, if you don't know what Silent is, it's it's a digital polysynth with 4 wavetables here, and each wavetable has its own set of different waves you can add in. So they got sine saw, triangle pulse, half pulse, quarter pulse, tri-saw, and the noise. And then you have different amp envelopes and modulation envelopes to say if you want to make a pluck noise or you want to do different things. And then you have a big thing of effects here and kind of like inside synthesizer processing. You can do it here. I use it sometimes. I think my favorites are the reverb, the delay, the compressor, arpeggiator, and then sometimes distortion. I barely ever use phaser, chorus, or EQ because I can EQ something so much better outside of Silent using Logic's EQ than I can with inside of Silent. So it just doesn't make any sense to do that, in my opinion. But yeah, and then you can add different voices. You can do a bunch of cool stuff on it. It's one of my favorites. You know, I think a lot of people hate on it, but it's a really nice synthesizer. So yeah, I got those going. These chords are filling up that space right there. And then there's the low end. It's kind of adding that fullness to it. It's very soft kind of strings that happen there. This is also one of my favorite things about Logic, is that Logic comes with so many like already like great sounding samples. So they have like an orchestral section here that comes stock with Logic with all these different kinds of string instruments, and they all sound really, really good. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people who like, you know, don't have great stock stuff and have to go to like third-party plugins and softwares and whatnot to do it, or to get what they want. I know a lot of people like Omnisphere. They have great stuff, but I prefer to use all the Logic stock stuff. All right, let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, this one's kind of a neat device that I use to kind of like take up a little bit more stereo space. It pans left and right over the stereo spectrum. And pretty much how I do that is I'm doing it with this tremolo here. It's pretty much just taking the sound left and right, like as if you were doing something like to take the track pan and just going left and right like that. It can be a cool tool to use, but if you do it too hard, it just sounds unnatural, you know, and almost annoying, you know. It's just like too obviously there. But when you kind of do it subtly, it makes it sound good, in my opinion. What did I use? I did use Serum to make this, and this is just a pluck with one voice, and it's got this envelope modulated over here onto, or maybe it's this envelope. Yep, it's modulated here on the filter cutoff. That's pretty much what makes that sound. And the reason it sounds kind of low So I got the Camel Crusher on it, which is adding another filter to it. It kind of gives that. I like Camel Crusher. It's very simple. I like using this filter on things to just test out what like different frequencies on like a sound good. And then just adding a little bit of distortion on things makes things sound a little bit different. You know, it could be what sound you're going for, what sound you're looking for there. And then finally, I have it all EQ'd like this, so it's taking up this frequency band. I think those are all the layers I have here. There's something else. Okay, so far on the song, we've gone through how I've gotten to this part. And I also have some transitional elements that come in like near the end, like this sweep, which is literally just a white noise that's filtered. And I think if you watch it here, I'll show you the automation on it. Or maybe not. An iconic shout noise I use. So a good like tip on like transferring energy around in your track. There is a doggo. She's outside right now. I wouldn't let her in because she does a lot of I got hardwood floors. She clicks a lot, and I feel like she might mess up the audio on the stream. You guys might not be able to hear me. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so a lot of the transitional elements are good for like energy transfer. So I created this kind of like this big kind of like this little build up in between that first part here and then this next part, using kind of like white noise and cymbals and reverse stuff with a lot of reverb on it. So a good and it just helps kind of get the listener ready for this next section, because if you don't have those things, then it's kind of like a very abrupt change. If you have like the cymbals and different things that come in at that time, it really makes the track work a lot better. And so, let's see. From here, this reverse shout has like a cymbal on it, and then also that shout. Let me see if I can find the sample that I used for that. Aha! Here it is. The shout sample. So, this is a sample in Vengeance, a Vengeance pack. Let's see if it's right here. No, that's not it. Okay, I gotta remember what this is called. Let me see if I can find its file name. So there it is. VEH3 Crash 09. So it's just a Vengeance crash sample, like a crash cymbal pretty much. And it's just got that weird like shout over it. I think the first time I heard it, I was like, you know something, I think that would work, you know. It's kind of like it almost sounds like a human noise, you know. I'm not sure exactly how it's made, but I thought it was really cool, and it really works in this one. So a good tip on like how to like make your transitions work from like one part of your song to another one is you find like these different elements that, you know, really stand out, like this shout sample, for instance, or like just anything, and you can take that, put a lot of reverb and a lot of echo on it, and then bounce that down, reverse it, and then kind of make it into this thing that builds up into your next sound. And here's another transitional kind of like element I used to. This big impact. This one here. This one's a nice thing to use as well. Or I'll just show you how I kind of make this up. It's literally just like a kick, filtered with all the high end filtered out to about 500 kilohertz and 500 hertz, and then like a nice big reverb on it. This is my go-to reverb in Logic. Is the Bright Hall reverb. You'll find it here in the large spaces here. And I really like the Space Designer. It's just like the best reverb. It's also stock in Logic once again. Let's see here. And then I also have, do I have any other sounds coming in here? And here's when you start to get those plucks. And this noise here. That sound here, I think it's made with Serum. Yep. Throw a keeper in here. Okay, let's take a look at that one. So once again, it is just a sawtooth, one voice on it, filter or modulated on the envelope, boom, right there. The way you do that is you can just drag and drop that right there on it, and then bring it up or down. And that'll kind of make it a pluck sound, which it's really just the software you're telling is like, all right, from up here the sound starts and then it comes back down with this curve that's drawn on here, so boom, it comes down. It's easier to explain in Serum because you can actually have like these little visualizations of what's happening, and then it's got like a little distortion on it from the Camel Crusher, of course, and then yeah, that's pretty much that sound, you know. And I bounced it down here because during the build-up you don't want to have like all that reverb tail at the very end because you want it to like disappear. You want all these sounds to disappear. So I'm gonna go through this. We got that snare coming in. Now it goes double time. And then again. Everything gets filtered. So at the very end of this, I have these like effect sounds. Where'd they go? Where'd they go? Where'd they go? Ah, here they are. Let's see here. So if you listen to these all by themselves without any like processing on them, I'm just gonna go ahead and turn it all off. Boop, boop, boop. It's literally the same sound with like different volumes and different kind of like processing behind it, so that it's like it sounds just like different weird fills. And I don't know how to like I just was tinkering around and I just figured that out, and I was like, okay, sounds good. Well, that'll work for now, and it'll work forever. So yeah, I got those fills in, and then I also have these drums, these snare drums that pop in. Pretty much just Prida snare drums. Let's see if I can find where I got these from. I might have deleted the percussion channel that I bounced them from. So the way I like to do it, the way I like to like make this sound here, is that I like to find like a nice full snare in say one of my sample packs or whatever, and then after I find it, like I'll take it and then pretty much just like compress the hell out of it and put some reverb on it, and then bounce it down into an audio format so that I can control how much of the tail actually gets played. And then it sounds something like that. And then you can organize it and put it into a pattern, you know, of your choice. And it's really cool. Sometimes you can bounce down like 2 or 3 different like snare drums and make like these really cool fills. So your one snare might be really like tight and mono, and then another one is like real wide and has big stereo width, and it's just cool like hearing it in your headphones, or just, you know, when you play around with those different kinds of those snares. And then last but not least, I got that reverse shout that I put in there. That's what makes up that big build, or at least the final fill on this thing. Let's see here. Yeah, and the whole time this build's coming up, this cut off, or this synth right here has the cutoff coming all the way up on it. And this one is, again, just another silent, super soft. I have a channel unmuted. Yep. Forgot about that. So what you just heard was like these two playing at the same time with each other, and you hear that little phase that goes on. Minus, you just hear one at a time. Okay, so when we get into the drop, I'm just going to go through the different sounds in the drop here and what you're going to hear. So first, it's pretty much just, it's a really simple like drop. It's just like a layered super saw. Oh, what's up, dude? Foria's in the stream. So the shout is just a Vengeance sample, and it's found inside of a Vengeance pack. It's like a crash cymbal that has this like ow like sound on it, which I don't even know like how it's made or where it came from. I just thought it was cool, and I was like, all right, let's see if this works. It sounds very like M83 like style, where you have like that one person who's like kind of like singing in the background, or you have that vocal. It's like a human element, but it sounds very electronic. You know, it's like used as like an instrument, but it's not like a word that they're saying. They're just like ah. So there's that. Okay, so the drop itself is just a bunch of layers of super saws just packed on top of each other. Well, at least one or two, I think. And then also a couple other like bassy kind of like mid-range sounds, and then a sub. Let's go through them one by one. So I believe I made one of these in Massive, and I made the other one in Silent. Let me just take a look at it here. So this super saw is like kind of my go-to, and it's what I like. It's like a preset that I've been shaping like over the years, like for a long time. So it's kind of like where I start off when I'm looking to have that super saw kind of sound in there. It's just pretty much composed of 8 voices on each channel, all either like pitched up one or another. And then the interesting part about it is that none of the volumes are up on this. They're all controlled over here under a velocity kind of like miscellaneous thing over here. So I don't even know what this is called. But yeah, so there's that. And I use that to make all these different noises. And then underneath that is this like metallic kind of like A&A pluck that we got going on here. And A&A is just like a great synthesizer. I believe, I think I found this from listening to one of my favorite, who is it? One of my favorite producers named Ilan Bluestone uses A&A a lot, and I was just like, oh, I really like the sounds he makes. And you kind of, once you start messing around with it, you can kind of tell like this thing sounds so fat. You can make all these different like great noises and beautiful sound textures with it. And it's just a great synthesizer all around. One of the things I like to use on it is the reverb. The reverb is really nice. It has 3 oscillators with about like maybe 40 or 50 different wave tables here that you can mess with. I think I use all 3 oscillators on this track, yeah, and this one's down. So this oscillator here is kind of like the more metallic noise of this. I'm just gonna turn these down so you can hear it. And then I have a higher pulse saw on it that's detuned. And then finally just like a very mono kind of sounding saw that is just there to kind of fill in that middle space on the sound. And then once again it's filter envelope modulated over here. as you guys can tell, I really like plucks a lot in my music. It's pretty easy sound to make. And all right, let's go. Let's look at what else we got here. Then we got the sub layer. This is pretty much just Serum with this sub turned on, and that's it. That's all you need for this. It's filtered so that all you're getting is this low end frequency here, and this is really just to fill up that low end. Yeah, the Serum sub works perfectly for that, and it's nice low mono, kind of like very center of the song, right down the middle. Let's see here. I just go to yeah. You can see right there, it's extremely mono. And then, let's see. And then I think my percussion adds a lot to this too as well. There's that bounced out. And then there's that fill that happens. Let's see what that fill sounds like. So it's just like four kicks here, and then this noise, this noise, this noise, and then maybe one more noise. No, and then a kick noise. Yeah, so it's just a bunch of snares. It's my snare that I'm using for the with a bunch of different processing behind it. It looks like. Like I said, I've only made this track like what, almost a year ago, and I looked at the last time I opened this project file. It's like, what was I gonna say? It was like December 2016. It's the last time I opened this. It's been almost a year since I opened this project file. Oh my gosh. That makes for a good little effect. And then another thing about the drop is that every sound that I make has like a lot of reverb and processing on it, but it's also bounced down to audio like so. And so I can chop up like different sections of those melodies, and then kind of bring the attention of a different sound to the listener real quickly, and then bring it back out, and then also bring you back into the other sound. So if you listen to it, it's all just very chopped up, and that's just kind of how and that's just how it makes it so clean sounding. You know, you don't have the tail of the reverb from something else interfering with like say this part of the track where there's absolutely nothing except you know, the fills and whatnot. That's something I like to do as well. It takes a lot of time to bounce things down to audio and then chop them up and do whatever, but it really does make a difference when you want to have those effects in your song. Well, let's check out that noise there. Do 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 do. Big crush, big crush, big crush, big crush, big crush. There it is. Ah, that's a kick. And they're all panning too. So this one's panned 19 degrees to, or 19 to the left speaker. This one's panned 28 to the right. Once again, 34. So the pan keeps getting further and further over as the fill happens, and then it's also stacked on top of this these synth pop drums that I made. So I heard like these drums somewhere at one point in time, and I was like, you know what, this sounds like something I could make, you know, just in the software. And so I just made this little cool synth pop drums that you can just tune, you know. I could just added something there and to hit undo. I can show you how I make those real quick. It's real simple. So yes, we have one voice here on a sine wave, volume's all the way up on that, and we turn on the pitch oscillator, or no, the pitch, we turn on this LFO, excuse me, and I think modulate it with pitch A and B here. Pitch A and B oscillators. And then from there you can kind of decide which one sounds the most like a drum, you know. Which if you bring the rate all the way down, it just turns into almost like a down, like a riser. Where did I have that? 1/2, yeah. But right here it sounds the most like a drum. And then also stacked on top of it is a noise oscillator as well. So without it, it just sounds like that. And then with it, you have that extra, like, it sounds like almost like you're hitting like a snare drum, like that noise. I think it sounds pretty good. I mean, I know a couple people who didn't like it, but and if you turn on you process it with some like small room reverb, sounds pretty cool. Sounds pretty cool to me. So that one's stacked on top of these noises, on top of those noises. Now we're coming back to the next part. So here, when I'm introducing this new sound, well, it's not a new sound. It's familiar from the build, but in terms of the drop, it's a new sound. So when I'm introducing this new sound, I kind of bring it in by taking out the last parts of my percussion up here, and slowly filter out, or it's more quickly than anything, and then quickly filter out all of the sounds you're hearing in the lead. So you get this like, and then at the same time, I have a reversed sound from this lead here. As you can see, this part I chopped off, and then I just put it down here, and it makes this kind of like lead into it. And that's kind of like what does that. And then there's also this weird fill I made that's kind of quiet that you can't really hear. Let's see. It adds a little something, but it's not like, I don't know, it's not as noticeable. And it's just like a bunch of kicks. Like it looks like just, I don't know, pan left and right on this thing. Yeah, I just want to apologize in advance about like some of the audio sounds that happen. It's like there's like for some reason when I'm streaming on Twitch, like OBS like creates this like weird like glitchy sounding like fuzz noise. I don't know what it is. I've been trying to troubleshoot it for a while, and I haven't come up with anything. Um, but yeah, I know people sometimes notice it in the stream, and then they'll be like, "Oh, hey, I think I know what your problem is," and then the freaking stream, or when I start to try to work on music, it turns into troubleshooting this weird little anomaly that happens. So maybe at one point in time, I'll just try to fix it myself and see if it happens. But it only happens every so often. Like it'll happen and then it'll go away. I don't know. I've searched for it. I've searched for how to fix it on the internet, but I'm not really sure how to. So we'll see if I can figure it out one of these times. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about this like clap. So my favorite claps are all made inside of, are all 808 claps. If you don't know what an 808 is, an 808 is like it's like one of the first like drum machines that were made back in the day. And it was literally just like, it was just like this little like keyboard looking thing that you would have in your studio, and you would use it to program drums and whatnot. Now they have like a software synthesized version of it, or just all the samples that came stock in the 808. But those, in my opinion, are some of the best like classic sounds, and they really go well with that like 80s vibe, that you want in your in my productions at least, because they have that nostalgic feel to them as well too. So yeah, this one's just a big 808 clap with a bunch of reverb on the end. I'm gonna get into the breakdown here. Oh man, come to Europe. I will. I don't know. Hopefully, I make it out there one of these times. I gotta start making it out into the USA. Start touring around there first, just because that's where you start. But yeah, hopefully one day I'll make it out to Europe. I've never been. Always wanted to go. Now, I really wish I could play guitar, but I can't. So all of this guitar melody that you're hearing. At first, when I first made this, it was kind of like I wrote out in an entire say during the entire break like this like acoustic guitar solo sounding like thing. So it was like it would go up and down the scale like all over the place. But at the end of the day, I kind of like looked at it and I was like, it doesn't quite work, and it doesn't sound enough like a real person like doing a guitar solo. So yeah, I was like, I'll just keep this part. And this is also made with Logic stock plugins. It's just the acoustic guitar over there. Now, I'm not as big of a fan of Logic's guitar like stock samples and plugins and whatnot. I think Contact has way better options. But I made this track before I kind of like explored more samplers and whatnot. But yeah, I think Contact's a much better go-to if you're looking for like guitar samples or just anything in general. I mean, there's stuff, there's like packs for anything on the internet. You can go find like concert piano halls, like jazz, saxophone, trumpet, anything. Play around with it, see what happens. It's a little arpeggio that I made. Hang on 1 second, gentlemen. Or ladies and gentlemen, I gotta go use the restroom real quick. I'll be right back. Ooh. Come on. Brought in the doggos. He's calling spam chat. Alright, I guess I've been talking for a long time. What was I gonna say? Does anybody have any like questions they want to ask me about the production so far that I haven't quite covered? You're a good girl. You do got your own seat. You got your own chair in the studio. Aren't you just a good little pup? Let's see. Any fun facts about Shimmer? Let's see. I wrote Shimmer in 2 or 3 days. It only took me that long to write it. That's a pretty fun fact, I suppose. It's surprising to me. It's like one of the coolest songs I wrote. It didn't take that long to write. Ooh, a breakdown on Terra. It only took me 2 or 3 days to produce Shimmer. Let me see. Another fun fact about Shimmer is that shout sample that you hear, it's like, ah! That one we kind of talked about earlier. Just find it real quick so that I know you know what I'm talking about. Where is it? Here it is. This shout sample. That shout sample in the beginning was kind of a big headache for me, and the thing behind it was that, what was I gonna say? I couldn't get it in key, so I couldn't get into the right key, and anytime I would try to like pitch it up or down, it would kind of like deteriorate the audio quality of the sample. So after that, I pretty much was like, all right, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just going to take the entire song and move it down to the same key as this sample, and that's exactly what I did. And it took a long time, and it was really annoying, but that was my fix, and I fixed it. I actually have the other version, which is out of key. I'm just gonna go over to that real quick to show you guys. Oh hey, look, I got featured on DJ Mag. I thought that was pretty cool. Let's see. That's the one I was just in. I think here's the one that doesn't sound very good. Do I master my own work? I do not. I could master my own work, but I really don't. I don't think it's a good idea after I spent like so much time on like a song. I have a different, I don't know. To me, after I'm done mixing it and making it, it's done. You know what I mean? To accentuate like the different parts of it, I don't know. It's just it's harder for me to do. That's why I kind of like to send it over to someone else who does know what they're talking about, has good ears on things, and they can take different parts of that track and turn it into something that you might not have thought, you know, would have worked. Like they boost the low end up a little bit more. They widen out the high end, or you know, just anything about your song. And if you get it back and you don't like it, you can always tell them to do something different. You can always say, hey, here's what I would like you to change. Could you do that for me? What was I gonna say? I go through this company called Wired to do all my mastering. I'll just show you guys real quick. I always do a stereo master, because a stem master is what you use, is pretty much what you do if you don't know how to mix your own song. You send it to an engineer to mix, but I always do stereo master. I know how to mix. I can mix my song, I just can't master it. See if I can find my engineer on here. Thought he had a picture. Custom services, transfers and restoration. Sam Wills. This is my mastering engineer here, Sam. He does a very excellent job every single time. I think they have a couple other ones, Cass and Kevin. I don't know what this is. He must have did this recently. Mike Williams' latest song. But yeah, he does a really good job, and it's not very expensive for what the quality is of what they do. Thoughts on gated reverb? I mean, if it works, just go for it, you know? I don't use too much gated reverb. If I do anything that's like gated, it's usually like I bounce it down to audio and then I work with it there. I'll just chop it up there. I don't know of any plugins or stuff that I use for gating. Maybe the tremolo. Use the tremolo for gating. Do you want to create a summer vibe before production, or did it just come along in the production? So for this production, I pretty much was just like, I just was writing, you know, and it just kind of came about like the first sound in the song, and this is the other version that's in a different key. I'll put these back on. I can't hear anymore. This is the first sound I made in this song. So it wasn't more so that like I was inspired to make that sound, is I made that sound, and then after I made it, I was inspired to write the rest of the song. So I was like, that sounds kind of like very shiny and bright. I was like, maybe I can write a song very shiny and bright. And then after that, it kind of like wrote itself, you know. Yeah, inspiration is funny like that, you know. Sometimes you don't think of something to go after before you start going after it. You kind of write, and then you're writing, you just find something, you know, and then you go for it, and you're like, oh, that sounds like it could be like this, you know. Other times I do try to aim for stuff, and that's when it might take a little bit longer, because what you're inspired to write might not be what you're aiming to write, you know. So you might have to stick with it a little bit longer before you go after something. Let's see. How did you reach Monster Cat? Well, Monster Cat, well, I knew Sasha over at Monster Cat. I don't know if you guys know Sasha. He's kind of the A&R dude who has like a bajillion DJs following him on Twitter. He tweets out like different music and has like playlists and whatnot. I was friends with him before, or I kind of just knew him. I talked to him before before he started working on Monster Cat. And after he started there, I was like, hey man, do you mind if I show you a song that I wrote, and I think you really like it, you know? And he's like, yeah, sure. And I sent him over Infinite, and he's like, this is really good, man. He's like, I'm going to share it with the rest of the Monster Cat guys. And that was it. So I just showed them a good track, and they liked it. Let's see here. I thought this song would finish as your best on Monster Cat. Yeah, I thought it would too. It was up there on the charts. I don't know what happened with it. Space Designer has gay reverb. It's a reverb that gets louder as it tails. Yeah. Do you do sound design as you go, or do you mostly choose sounds you've already made? I kind of do it as I go. I mean, I'll try to like, if I got something in the if I'm arranging a track already, I might arrange it to a certain point and then listen to it a million times and then try to figure out like what's the next sound I need to make and put in there, and then I'll start sound designing. But after that, it's just kind of like, I don't know. Sometimes you tinker around and you'll make like a sound just out of nowhere, and you're like, okay, that'll be good for another time. And then what I like to do is I'll come over to here and I'll hit save channel strip as, so I can save this entire channel strip, and I'll just show you some of the channel strips that I have saved. So I have all these here, and these are pretty much like my patches, you know. I don't ever have like synth patches. I just I process and make a sound, and then I can keep them all in here in this like channel strip bay, and I pretty much just pick them out of here. I don't ever have to like go and find a patch, you know. Let's see here. What's your processing for kicks? Can be different. Let's see, for this one. But this one, I think I use 2 kicks. Yeah, I do. So I use 2 kicks to make this up, and then my reasoning for that is that I want that kick with the really low end on it, to make that thump happen. But then like sometimes it's a little bit too like, I don't know, it's a little bit too thumpy. You know what I mean? It's like very sharp. So I'll get like a high-end sounding kick that has like more of like a, I don't know, it sounds more organic sounding. So it just depends on like what the track needs, you know. I play around with the EQ a lot on those. And let's see, for side chaining, I have a ghost kick that I side chain everything through my compressor. So I side chain the kick here. Bus 1 is what my, just go over here, go back up. I side chain everything off to bus 1, and that's where that is. And then from here it'll, ooh, that didn't sound good at all. I don't know why it's breaking up so bad. Pretty much what I'm going to say is that it ducks with the kick there. So it'll reduce the sound as it's kicking. So that's how I sidechain my kick to things. And you can do that with just about anything, with, you know, like reverb or whatever. Will I upload that Beatport exclusive Who I Am edit to Spotify too? Well, it's not up to me to upload that to Spotify. It's up to Monstercat. And from what I spoke with them, they're not going to do that. They're just going to leave it on Beatport. So if you guys want it, you'll have to find it on Beatport. All right. Let's see here. I'm just going to let you guys hear the different keys. You see it? You hear it's like out of key. That shout noise. Pain in my ass. Makes the song so much better, but it is a pain in the ass. I can go over what that sound is right there. So there's that noise right there. What I like to do sometimes is I'll take every instance of chord and mush them all together, and then maybe like copy and paste them up like a couple octaves, so that I pretty much just have the entire scale of the song right there in one gigantic monster chord. And then I'll pull up Silent, pop open the arpeggiator, and then after that, messing with like the rate on it and the gate, you can make some really cool, just like transitional kind of like atmospheric noises. And they work out really cool. Now, another thing I could do is I could write all that, but you know, I'm kind of lazy. I write it sometimes. I write it on the piano roll. Sometimes I just use silence. I was breaking up earlier. Let's see what it sounds like now. You can hear it. That shout is out of key. So what I did, I just pretty much took every instance of that, or every sound, and just shifted it down to that shout sample key, the same key as that shout sample. I first started making music a long time ago, somewhere around like 7 years or so. I went to, there's a funny story on like how I started writing music. I went to I went to my first like electronic music concert, but the way I got there was kind of funny. It's like getting an oil change one day, and this guy comes over to me. He's like, "Hey, you're a young guy. You like this techno music?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "Well, come on over here. I got some free CDs. It's like all techno music. I think you'll really like it." And I was like, "Okay." And so after that, he was like, he's like, I run security at this big event where they have like these big DJs that come in and they play music for like 8 hours, you know, on like a night. It goes from like, you know, 10 p.m. to like 5 a.m. And I was like, "Oh, that sounds really cool." And so he invited me out there, and I went out there and I met a couple friends, and ever since. After that, like one of my friends was talking to me afterwards, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I make music on this software. You should try to make music on it too." And I was like, "Okay." And then like a couple months later, I downloaded Logic, and then that was it. I started writing music after that. This kind of turned out from like a hobby into what I do now. You know, taking a little bit more seriously. But you know, it was always about having fun writing cool stuff. If you upload this stream on YouTube, you'll probably get 5 million views. Wow. I might have to upload the stream on YouTube then. Let's see. Your face is a bit bright at the moment. How do I fix that? I want to see if I can get in the settings real quick and just fix it. I don't think I can fix that. I'm just a pasty white guy. I don't know what to say. It's very pasty. It's it's winter time here, so how much does mastering roughly go for? I pay 80 per track, and it's like based on an hourly rate. So if you know your mastering engineer takes 30 minutes, he still pays an hour for it, or you still pay for that hour. Usually I don't pay over an hour or so for most of my songs. I think the only time I paid over an hour was when Sam did, I think, my EP, which I think took him like 2 or 3 hours. He does the stuff real quick, and he's got like a nice studio to do it in. He's been doing it way longer than anybody I know, so whatevs. It's worth it. Get your songs mastered. Alright. Start hearing the breakdown. Ooh, excuse me. Oh my god, don't ever go to Lander. You do a better job mastering your stuff by yourself. I'm pretty sure they just put your song through like an automated, like one mold fits all kind of thing. If you want to get your song mastered, go to somewhere like Wired, or someone who actually knows what they're doing. Lander is just absolutely horrible. I wouldn't wish Lander on the worst of my enemies. Let's see here. Where's my final noises? Trying to find where that. There it is. And so yeah, that's pretty much the noise I use for the big finale build up there. So that pluck here Has like a guitar amp over it. Another Logic stock, pretty nice. And then it's filtered up, and then it slowly brings the spectrum of the sound all the way up. And then right at the drop, I kind of use that quiet moment to bring in the second part of that pluck melody, that dun 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 dun, and it's the exact same sound that the guitar is making over here. This nice little indie kind of build up for that whole thing there. And then at the very end, I use this pluck here that I made. It's got a ton of processing on it, apparently. So let's see. I got a sample delay that kind of widens the sound up. I'm just gonna go one by one to figure out what exactly makes this this big lead sound. So it looks like. Hey, what are you doing, buddy? You being a pain in the butt. Don't do anything weird on the stream. Lay down. Alice, you want to give him some room? Lay down. Very small doggo. Dude, I'll tell you, real mastering is worth it. Sounds like radio getting a phone call. What? It is definitely a waste. Huge fan of your work, Notaker, so happy to see you on Mousetrap. Yeah, man. Mousetrap is awesome. Glad to be working with those guys on stuff. Dang. Guys are from all over the place, man. It's 3 a.m. Okay, so how do I make this sound? It looks like that metallic sound I used in my lead. So it's technically this that I just copied down here and then added some more processing on it, and then played it at a higher octave. So we got the sample delay that kind of widens that sound up. And when you're arranging different like plugins on your channel strip, it does actually matter which place you kind of put each of these in. If you put them in the wrong spots, that can mess up how your sound actually happens, you know. So say if I have this way down here at the bottom, the wideness of that sound would still come through after, say, I EQ'd it. Okay, and then there's a bass amp that I put on here. Check that out. Just kind of muffles the sound a little bit, adds a little distortion on it. And then I got the Space Designer with a small bright vocal on it, reverb. All it does is just makes it sound like you're recording in a different place. You know, your sound is being played in a different space. Let's see. I got the camel, which adds on that extra level of distortion onto it. compression. Use the EQ to find like the proper place to put this in the mix. And then finally I EQ'd it again with this Fab Filter Pro Q, which looks like it kind of dials down some of these sharp ass frequencies that are happening. And then finally the sidechain compressor for sidechaining. So yeah. And then after that, I bounced them all down into audio, and then put them in here so I could chop them up like I did for that first drop. Chop them up and reverse them. And the reason this one is down here instead of being up here is that this one's actually a couple decibels quieter than this one up on top, and that's because we got two lead sounds happening, and you got that. We got this sound, and then we also have this sound here. And I felt like to get them to like mesh together well in the mix, I was gonna have to make one the dominant sound, and since this one is a newer sound, I felt like the initial sound that I had here should be the more predominant over. So just a little bit louder. See here, someone's listening in from Chile. Someone said this is surprised this isn't Ableton. I don't know why people are surprised. Like, here's my philosophy. It doesn't matter what you use. It matters how you use it. You know, so if you can make, you know, an amazing song off of GarageBand or Microsoft Paint or whatever, you can then do it, you know. It doesn't matter what you use. It matters how you use it. 2 to 3 days. Oh. 420 over here. Blaze it. 5 p.m. in Canada. 9:18 in the UK. 3:20 here in Minnesota, USA. It's also 3:20 here. You didn't need to write the minutes. They are the same everywhere, guys. What? 4:20 in EST. Time to blaze it, people. Good luck on your exams. Will the stream be saved? I don't know. It's a good question. How come you guys aren't in the stream to watch it? That's the whole point of the stream. I did it live so that people will watch in the stream and we could talk and chat. The guitar is winning. It is. Click on create clip. Create clip. What are you talking about? Not sure what you mean. hand gestures when you are jamming are gold. Yeah. Have you guys ever seen that that hand gesture montage they made of me that one time? Or when I played in Toronto? Let me see if I can find it. It's pretty funny. I know it's somewhere. Let's watch together. I have no idea what I'm doing up there. I don't realize I'm just like getting into the music. That's the first time I played Who I Am out live. It's great. Gold. Oh, sorry. I think this, for some reason, like my stream's not, or my audio is not connected to my desktop, so. It's not connected to what's coming out here. I put a thumbs up on it. Oh yeah. Whoever made this, wee woo. I feel like I've seen that name before. You're looking like some orchestra meister. A little bit there. Maybe that's what I was going for. No. Pre-recorded or mixing live? What kind of question is that? Of course I'm doing it live. People come out to see me play. I'm not gonna jip them. Thought you guys thought better of me. All right, so this is the. We'll go through the end of this track here, and then I guess if you guys have any questions for me, I can go ahead and answer them. At the very end, I bring back in that guitar. Turn it and pretty much just take it all the way, start fading out all these different elements until there's nothing left. And then it's done. And that's the end of the song. Yes. So my wife did do the vocals for Just Close Your Eyes. It was pretty much like a poem we came up with, and then the poem didn't work out, so all we used from that recording was Just Close Your Eyes. And it works. It works out really well. If you guys have any questions for me on the stream, or on the production here, I'd be happy to ask, or just any questions, and happy to answer. Or any questions in general, I'll be happy to go over them. I heard you watched my hand gestures video. We did. We just watched it. I must see this. I even gave it a thumbs up. It was great. How did I make the snare on Terra? It's a sample. I didn't make it. It's a Vengeance sample. You're married. You look 16, no offense. I take that as a compliment. I'd rather look young than old, I suppose. I'm actually 28, so keep that in mind. How long have you been making music? How long did it take before you felt like your songs sounded professional? I don't know. I've been writing music for about 7 years, and I don't know, probably didn't start really liking my music. I always liked what I made, but you know, I didn't hold myself to any kind of standard for at least 3 or 4 years. And then I think the first time I ever I got recognized by like Tommy Sunshine. He's like, whoa, this track you sent me sounds really awesome, man. He's like, I want to sign it to my label. That was kind of my first like, I might be onto something here, you know. I might be good at this. So then I started writing more music, and yeah, it just turned out well. I thought your video was pretty funny. The hand gesture video. Oh yeah, I got some hats here. You know, I've been in the works for quite some time. And I'm not sure exactly what I'm gonna do with them yet. Eventually, I'm sure they'll be for sale. I'm trying to get some more merch, so I'm not just trying to sell just hats or something. You know, I want like hats, T-shirts, some other cool stuff. So it's all in the works. I'm developing it. Get you guys some cool gear. I don't want to have something just super plain and like Notaker across the front of my T-shirt. Like I want something that's like actually kind of represents my branding and my ideas and looks cool. You know, like you would want to buy it even if you didn't know who I was. You know. Well, finger wavy every time I hear who I am. Do one of these. Send one to all the live viewers. Oh man, guy's trying to bankrupt me. You know these cost money, right? I have to pay for them too. I might try to do some stickers. I think I already talked about this. I sent a song to Sasha, who's an A&R over at Monster Cat, and he liked my song. And my song I sent over to him was Infinite. And that's how I got on the Monster Cat. Oh, that's dope. Well, thanks, man. Hope I can give you some more music that you can drive around at night and listen to. Get some good vibey stuff. Any tracks signed anywhere that aren't released yet? Well, of course. I do have unreleased signed music, you know. Can you follow me on Twitter? Why? The background of Monarch as a shirt would be cool. Now that would be cool. Actually, I want to show you this hat real quick. If you notice, this is where I kind of got the idea to name my track Monarch. I got this neat little hat that this dude made, and every single hat that he sells actually goes towards conserving the monarch butterfly. So I thought that was pretty cool. On the inside, it's like got like a cocoon. Put this one on. Boom. Oh, yeah. So these are actually out and about. You can go buy them if you want. They're not mine though. They're my friend Eric's. I think you can buy them on Grassroots. You just type in monarch butterfly hat. You'll find it. My friend also gave me this one too, which is pretty sweet. Infinite! I don't wear it out too much, but I like having it. Do you have some promo mail? I'm going to put my email in here. I've been DJing for 4 years, but been learning Ableton finally. I'll tell you, man, Ableton is the truth. Or just making music in general is the truth. So if you guys want to send me any promo music or any stuff you're working on, you want feedback on, you know, that's where you want to send it. Is my my promo email there. I did have Serum on a couple channels, but I didn't use it to its full potential. I just used it to make a pluck sound. So Serum is a ridiculously good synthesizer. Very underrated in my opinion. It's probably not underrated anymore. I've heard of like a bajillion people listening to it. So I mean using it. I don't know why I said listening to it. There's people listening to it and using it. Oh snap, people are tweeting at me. The bass line to Shimmer, sure. Let me see here. So there's a couple different bass sounds in Shimmer. I have to put this back on. Did you vote for any tracks on Monster Cat? I did not. I have to be honest with you guys, you know, music contests are a little weird for me. I always felt like, you know, music should not be a contest, you know. It's not something you can be, I don't know, you can really like measure like, oh, is this track better? Is this track better? Is that track better? It's like who cares? They're all like different. It's all different vibes and stuff anyway. Like they're all good in their own way. So here's this bass line. And like I said, it's made with Serum. Very simple. Just low end. It's a saw, so it has that more fuller kind of bass sound. And then this one is made with the same thing. I don't know why I have it on different channels now. Maybe it's... I automated that one. Yeah, DJ Mag Top 100 is just a freaking joke. We're still listening to this bass here. Just the low end happening. Then you got that one. That one's made with Serum, and it's literally just a sub with a sine wave here that I'm using. And that's it. If you were talking about like the mid bass though, that one's made with Anna, whatever you want to call it. And I think I went through how that one was made. It's got like it's got this FMOD 5 wavetable on it, with that kind of boosted up, and then also a couple of saws on there to occupy different frequencies. This one's like a wider saw, that one's more of like a mono saw, and then this one's more of a mono sound too. But it has that like that metallic sound that, you know, adds to the song. And what else was I gonna say? Yeah, that's it on the bass line. And it's got some processing on it. Let's see, sample delay, bass amp, and a couple other EQs on it. That's pretty much it. DJ Mag is a meme. You know, I like reading DJ Mag. I don't like the DJ Mag Top 100. I'll just say that. it's such just like a superficial thing to care about, you know. So many people out there just like spending money to say I'm number one, or I'm up on, you know, I'm number 34 on the list, and it's like, yeah, I guess there's some people out there who care about that, but it's like, what does that have to do with music at all? It doesn't. It has nothing to do with music, so it's just like, just funny. I don't know. Miami Music Week 2018. I'd love to go. I've never been booked before. I've been to Ultra 2 times, but I've never gotten to go down and, you know, party for the week. Maybe if someone likes me down there, I can get down there and do some DJing, do some more hand gestures. You guys are ready for that? Stems for remix. I actually have the stems bounced down because I gave them to somebody to remix, but that person apparently didn't want to remix my song, even though they said they did. So that's okay. Sometimes those things don't work out. Oh man, I'd love to play live. It'd be awesome. Was it Dead Mouse? No. It was not Dead Mouse. I don't know why you guys thought it. Why do you think it would be Dead Mouse? It was Daft Punk. They said they declined my remix. How dare they? Carnage giving away tickets for votes. That's crazy. That's so silly. I'm gonna have to pay somebody. Like, hey, if I ever start caring about the DJ Mag top 100, can someone smack me? Just come to my house and smack the hell out of me. Oh man, I'd love to collab with Jordan. He's a great producer. On my way. Don't smack me yet. I don't care about it now. When's your next song? I don't know. Could be any time. I'll just say this: my next single is coming out in 2018. There's not gonna be any more Notaker records being released. What was I gonna say? This year. Next year we'll see more Notaker records. No, I'm not gonna tell you guys who didn't want to do the remix for Shimmer. And his name was not Jordan. No Mana's name is Jordan. And you said collab with him, and that's what I was talking about. I'd love to collab with you, man. I like your music. Let's set something up. Boy. Where did the backwards M come from? It came from... Who's the... Oh, hang on a second. We gotta answer this question first. Tarasenko! Like one of the best players on the Blues, so... I can talk about that. Tarasenko. I'm not a monstrous hockey fan, but I do like the Blues. And then my wife got me this jersey for Christmas, or for my birthday. So I liked it. I was like, all right. The backwards N was just, I don't know, it was just something I made that I thought looked cool. So I was like, why not? Nobody's doing the backwards N yet. I'll do the backwards N. Is anybody in this stream a Blues fan? blues fan. Blues hockey. You know, the thing where they get out on the ice, they have the sticks and the pucks. A Habs fan. I am not sport person. I am no sport person. What's my opinion on Unlike Pluto? I like his music. He's doing his thing. You know? Any fun facts for other tracks? I don't know how much of a fun fact this is, but the hard drive on Infinite is donezo. So, where I had that stored it crashed on me. So, really sucks that that happened. Oh well. Maybe I'll get it fixed one of these days. I know there's a company in Denver, I think, that restores crashed hard drives and pulls the data off of them. So it costs there's no limit on it. They told me it could cost $2,000 to $700, and they can't tell me until they get it. And I'm like, okay, it's like that's ridiculous, but whatever. Data is data. I gotta have it. You and Laszlo should do a track together. Laszlo's pretty dope. I'd do a track with him. Have been lurking. It's been a lot of fun to watch. All right. The file was too large. It's actually on my old laptop, but I don't know where that laptop is right now. I think it's over here. No. I should remix Strobe. I love the remix Strobe. It's a great song. Anybody got the stems to Strobe? My buddy Black Gummy remixed Strobe. His remix is pretty dope. When they ask you what kind of music you make. I don't know. Yeah, no cup since the blues exist. Thanks for reminding us, Habs boy. This year alone? Let's see. I'll just give you some of my most all-time influential artists here. Eric Prydz. He is one of the most influential. He's got great music. You know, all the stuff he's ever made just sounds amazing. He's one of those artists you kind of gotta have a good ear for, you know. You start getting into some of his works, you know, it's very addicting. I don't like everything he's ever made, but a lot of the stuff he has made is amazing. He's just got a good way of taking like other people, like just like emotions, and just putting them straight into his music. Not even having like real complex songs, you know. It can be very simple, but it just has a way about it, you know, that captures you. It sounds really good. Who else? I'd say deadmau5 is one of my all-time favorites. deadmau5 is kind of like Eric Prydz, you know. He could just put great emotion into his music and do it in a way that no one else can, and it sounds like deadmau5 every single time. Yeah, Cascade's awesome. Yeah, M83 as well. I love M83. Pretty dope. Alright, well, we got 9 more minutes. Do you guys have any other production questions you want to ask me before I get off here at 4? Any more questions? What else does Wikipedia say? That was funny. The first time I got a Wikipedia page, I was like, I got a Wikipedia page? That's wild. Looks like it needs to be updated. How do you make glitchy noises before the drop? Alright, I'll show you how I make the glitchy noises before the drop. So the glitchy noises before the drop are 3 of the same sounds that I think I showed everybody the first time. They're all the same sound. They're just slowly kind of like moving up like whoosh, like a sweep, except they're all chopped up. And the way I did it was I used a thing called Saturn that it's just pretty much a saturation plugin that adds distortion on it. And I did it in 3 different ways. When I left 3 different kind of variations on it, so that it all sounds different. All sounds different right before the drop. It's pretty much like tinkering around with that noise. When I first meet Steve, I met Steve through an email. Steve just emailed me and was like, "Hey, I like your music. You wanna He's like, "You wanna give me a call sometime? We'll talk about doing some cool stuff together." I was like, "Yeah, sure." His live show though. So yeah, that's how I make those glitchy sounds. Good old Steven. Look at something here real quick. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. There it is. Any plans for an album? Not yet. I wish I could start on an album, but unfortunately it's not in the cards just yet. I want to wait a little bit longer for, to build up my fan base a little bit more and get some more people following me before I put everything behind an album. I really would love to write an album one day. It's like one of my big goals. Want to write an album, want to go on a big tour, and want to have my own record label. So those are my big three, you know. I think it'd be really cool to do all those things. Hopefully I'll start doing this touring thing starting next year. Let me see what's going on here. Whoa, I got a ton more followers on Twitch. $34 new followers. Thanks for following me, guys. Just got 2 new followers just for saying that. No, I'm very satisfied with Monster Cat. I just want to own my own record label so I can do my own thing for, you know, for whatever. And I could, you know, talk to the people who I really like, whose music I really like, and show that to the world, you know. What's a genre style of music I wish I could make? Whatever. I mean, whatever I feel like making, I'll just make it, you know. I won't worry about if I can or not, just try. So I guess that answer to that is there's no genre out there that I don't wish I could make. If I wanted to make something, I'd just do it. No Giver Records, that's gotta be the worst name ever. My fan base isn't too little. I'm very fortunate to have, you know, people out there who really care about my music. He does not pay DJ Mag. I don't pay DJ Mag, that's for sure. Who would I sign to my label? It's a good question. I don't know. Probably some people you never heard of. Followed you though. Genesis recording. Can you run us through the drums for this track? Only got 2 minutes. The drum processing? Oh my gosh. Well, how about I'll just upload it to YouTube because I am recording this, so. How long does it take to make other tracks? I'll tell you something. It can take 2 or 3 days, it can take 2 or 3 weeks, it can take 2 or 3 months, or it can take 2 or 3 years. It all depends on how much inspiration you got at the time and, you know, how the track's coming along. Hey buddy, you know, come say hi to the streamers, people in the stream. He's all groggy. He's just taking a nap. And it's nice and warm in here for him. Little guy. Alright guys. I'm gonna go ahead and get off here. Appreciate you all coming in, joining me on the stream. Maybe I'll have to do another one of these next time. You guys can yeah, maybe I'll show you how I made Abyss. Maybe I'll show you how I made, you know, just whatever. We'll have to see what happens. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed this. Till next time. I will see you guys. Peace.